right, beautiful. Thank you for joining me for a 60-minute yoga for back pain class. My name is Holly. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a yoga teacher with chronic back pain, so I feel like highly, I don't know, like I feel like this is a class that I can't believe I haven't quite taught before. This is a floor-based class. It's a beginner-friendly class. You do not need any prior yoga experience or fancy yoga props. All you need is a carpeted area or a towel or a mat or a yoga mat if you have one. One disclaimer, if you are currently dealing with like a new back injury or something that feels really serious, I recommend being medically cleared by a doctor before you practice. And if you have a doctor or physical therapist in your life, and again, this is going on YouTube, I've even like brought in classes to my physical therapist and kind of like scrolled through it, and they'll say, okay, you can do this, but don't do this or modify this. So that's an option as well. Yoga is not a cure for anything, but it is a healing tool. And it's also a great way to get to know yourself better. I really believe that you are your greatest teacher. And through yoga, we get to know ourselves better. We get to trust ourselves a little bit more, and maybe we're a little bit better able to listen to our body. So if at any point in class, I am suggesting something that does not feel right for you in the moment, trust that you know what's best for yourself. You're welcome to take a different variation of a posture or breathing exercise. You're welcome to do something else entirely, or you're welcome to just sit and lie down, listen to my words, focus on your breath. And again, even if I can't always do everything in a yoga class, I always think it's nice just to have some structured, scheduled out time where I'm not doing anything else, right? The TV is off, the phone is put away. This is some time just for you to relax and breathe. And last but not least, this is a class where it's a progressive class where we'll start with one version of a posture and then progress to another version. But if one version is really speaking to you or the next one we try doesn't feel so good, you can go back to that first variation and you'll see what I mean as we go along. All right, so you're gonna make your way into a comfortable seated position. You can sit crisscross applesauce. You can sit in Sukhasana, easy pose with one foot in front of the other. You can rock your hips back, right and left, side to side. Start to feel your sit bones on the floor as you arrive in your yoga practice. You might roll your shoulders forward a few times, backward a few times. And then if it feels good, lift your shoulders up towards your ears, relax your shoulders down towards the floor. Lift your chest up slightly so your spine is nice and long from the side. And take a deep, life-giving breath, whatever that means to you. So we're going to start with just a few intentionally slow breaths to begin our practice. And you want to sit up nice and tall so your back is long, so that your diaphragm has room to move. You have lots of options for what to do with your hands. You're welcome to place your hands facing down on your knees as maybe a symbolic gesture that you're really starting to come into your body, into the present moment. You're feeling grounded in the here and now. You're welcome to place your hands on your knees with your palms facing up as a symbolic gesture that you are open to what the next hour brings. Or if it feels good when you breathe, you can even place one hand over your heart space and one hand over your abdomen so you can really observe how your body moves with every breath. You're welcome to close your eyes. You can also do a soft, fuzzy gaze beyond the tip of your nose, or pick a spot on the floor or wall in front of you that helps you to feel anchored in the present moment. Just try not to look around too much. Lift your chest, relax your shoulders, and we'll just do a simple breathing exercise. Take a slow inhale through your nose, feel your body rise. And when your lungs are full, slowly exhale. You can exhale through your nose or through your mouth, whichever feels meaningful to you in this moment. Exhale until your lungs are empty. When you're ready, inhale through your nose slowly. And whenever you're ready, exhale. It can be through the nose or the mouth. Just go slow. As you inhale, you might start to notice your ribs expand or the skin across your chest stretch slightly. And as you exhale, you might notice your ribs gently contracting and your chest softening. This time, as you inhale, observe the air coming into the nose, maybe noticing the temperature of that air. And as you exhale, observe the temperature coming out of your lungs, maybe a little bit warmer, a reminder that we are 90-something degrees and very much alive. Take a slow inhale until your lungs are full. In our day-to-day life, we don't use our full lung capacity. And when your lungs are full, take a slow exhale. Try to match the exhale to the inhale breath. When your lungs are empty, begin again. Inhale, body rise. Exhale, body fall. And if at any point in class you find that your mind is wandering or looping back to a certain worry or care, or there's a certain movement that we're doing that just doesn't feel right for you, consider this observation of your breath your home base. When you take time to slow down your breath, you can really appreciate the way that the body moves with the breath. And when you focus on your breath, right, you also give your mind something to focus on rather than like something on your to-do list that you might be worrying about. So we're not just telling ourselves relax or don't think about the day. We're actively giving ourselves something else to think about, which is our breath. Inhale, body rise. And exhale, body fall. Great. As you're ready, return your breath to normal. You are welcome to place your hands on your knees, palms facing down, or you can have your fingertips on the floor. Either way, we just want to have our arms nice and long to support our spine. And we're going to start just by moving our neck spine. Take an inhale, stretch the crown of your head up to the ceiling. Exhale through your nose, tilt your right ear towards right shoulder, stretching the left side neck. It's worth noting that I'm not mirroring you, so it might look like I'm moving my head to the left, when in fact I'm moving my head to the right. You are welcome to follow my words or my body movement, either way. I will do the right side of postures first, unless I forget, which sometimes happens. As you're ready, slowly roll your head down, chin to chest. And then keep rolling. Bring your left ear towards left shoulder, stretching the right side neck. And you might notice that this side feels different from the other side. It does for me. We're not symmetrical. And nowhere in ancient Vedic text does it say that you need to be symmetrical to practice yoga. The goal of yoga is like self-realization, self-care, and by extension, community care. A byproduct is that sometimes we even out a little bit, but it's okay if one shoulder is tighter than the other, right? I have made peace with that in my own life. Slowly roll your head down, chin to chest, keep rolling. And then once again, roll your right ear towards right shoulder, chin away from your chest, look forward. Notice if you start to lean to the right, try to evenly distribute your body weight on both sitting bones so it's just the neck moving at the beginning of class. Good. Slowly roll your head down, chin to chest, keep rolling, and then bring your left ear towards left shoulder, stretching the right side neck. And you might notice in the second set that you can get your left ear a little bit closer to your shoulder. Just make sure that the shoulders stay out of your ears and your chest stays lifted so you're not hunching forward. Good. Slowly roll your head down, chin to chest, keep rolling, and then roll your right ear towards right shoulder once again. You have an option to stay here, or if you'd like, you can place your right hand on top of your head, and you're not going to pull down, you're just going to gently use the weight of your hand to let your head relax a little bit more. You can stay here, or you can experiment with bringing your left arm out to the left, flip your fingertips up, push the wall away from you, almost like you're giving someone a high five. Drop your shoulders, lift your chest. You might feel a stretch in the nerves from your fingertips through the wrists, all the way into the shoulder and neck. Keep your shoulders out of your ears, look forward, take a breath, inhale through the nose, and exhale through the nose. Great. If your left arm is lifted, place your left hand back down on the floor. Slowly bring your right hand back down to the floor. There's no rush. Roll your head down, chin to chest. Keep rolling. Bring your left ear towards left shoulder. Can stay here, or if you'd like, you can place your left hand on top of your head. Again, you're not yanking or forcing your head in any way, but just the weight of your hand can help the head relax. And then from here, if you'd like, you can play around with taking your right arm out to the right and flipping your fingertips up As a child of the 90s, this is what we call talk to the hand, right? Drop your shoulders, lift your chest, slow your breath. Inhale through your nose, and exhale through your nose. And I should say, like, I'm getting over a cold, so sometimes it's hard for me to breathe through my nose. If you also have difficulty breathing through your nose, right, it's okay to breathe through your mouth as well. As you're ready, bring your right hand down to the floor. Relax your left hand down to the floor. And now roll your head down, chin to chest. And this time, just let your head hang heavy. For anyone with arthritis in their neck, in their cervical spine, or anyone where this simply does not feel good to your neck, you're welcome to keep your chin lifted and just look down the center line of your body, or maybe just tilt your head down an inch, or if it feels good, let your head relax all the way down. But everybody's range of motion is different, and a little bit goes a long way. Notice if you start to lean forward, hunch forward, or round forward, lift your chest up, roll your shoulders up, back, and down away from your ears, and now let your head hang heavy. Look down the center line of your body. As you're ready, lift your nose, lift your chin, look forward, and then keep looking up towards the ceiling. And again, a little bit goes a long way. You might just send your gaze up towards the ceiling. You might lift your nose and chin up an inch, or if it feels good, you can let your head relax all the way back. And we'll do this a few times, right? So especially this first go round, it's a little bit diagnostic. You're just kind of observing how this movement feels in your body today. Good. Slowly bring your head back to center, look straight ahead, and then relax your head down, chin to chest. So we're getting some range of motion in the neck. And in Ayurvedic medicine, there's also this idea that we're stimulating what's called the throat chakra, which in Western medicine is the thyroid parathyroid gland. So we're intentionally compressing and then stretching out the thyroid parathyroid gland throat chakra. Look down the center line of your body. And then lift your nose, lift your chin, look up and back. So it's a stimulation right to the throat chakra or to the thyroid parathyroid gland. Look up and back. Good, and then bring your head back to center. And once again, relax your head down. And this time, if you'd like, you can interlace your fingers behind the back of your head. And you're not pushing your head down, but you can just let your head relax down. And if it feels good, you can even start to bring your elbows towards each other in front of you. So now the shoulders are opening a little bit as well. You can just play around with a range of motion that feels good to you. Keep your fingers interlaced behind your head, bring your elbows out to the side, lift your nose and chin, and then look up and back. And sometimes I have a chronically stiff neck, and sometimes I find like when I really lose range of motion in my neck, using my hands as kind of like a cradle or a hammock actually really helps the muscles and nerves in my neck spine relax a little bit more. Think about bringing your elbows out, opening your chest up. Good, and then slowly, carefully come back to center, look forward, release that grip. And again, you can place your hands on your knees or on the floor. Take an inhale, stretch the crown of your head up. And this time, exhale through your nose, bring your chin over your shoulder, look for the wall behind you. So the spine moves in 6 different directions, right, left, backward, forward, twisting to each side. And we will do all of those multiple times in class today, but just starting with the neck. Good. Slowly, carefully unwind, come back to center. I like to go extra slow out of spine twists because for me, at least, that's sometimes where I find that my back catches a little bit. Take an inhale, stretch up. Exhale through your nose, bring your chin over your left shoulder, look back. So you might imagine that if there was a wall directly behind you, you could lean your whole back and the left side of your face against it. Look back. Good. Slowly, carefully unwind, come back to center. We'll do that neck twist just one more time. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale slowly through your nose, bring your chin over your right shoulder. Keep your eyes open. Look for the wall behind you. It's a nice eyeball stretch. And you're also setting that intention, right? Where your eyes go, body will know to follow. Look back. Good. Slowly, carefully unwind. Come back to center. And we'll do that one more time. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale through your nose, bring your chin over your left shoulder. Look back. Twist. Good, unwind, come back to center. You're going to keep your left knee bent, kick your right leg out, and the wider you bring the leg out, the more you'll feel the inner thigh stretch. So especially if you have tight inner thighs, right, you might bring your right leg in a little bit closer to the center line of your body. You're going to wiggle your hips back right and left, feel your sitting bones on the floor, you can point your right toes, Flex your right toes, keep your right toes slightly flexed back towards your face. Can take your right hand outside of right thigh and reach your left arm long overhead for a side body stretch. We're not collapsing down. Think about lifting up. So think about creating space between the vertebrae. If you have tight shoulders and having your arm overhead doesn't feel good, you're welcome to just have your left hand on your left knee as you stretch to the right. You are welcome to keep your right hand on the floor for stability, especially if you feel like you're collapsing down, right? Push your right fingertips into the floor a little bit so you can lengthen up. If it feels good, you can experiment with bending your right elbow and placing your right forearm on your thigh so that the left side body stretches more. You can stay here, or if you'd like to play around, you can bend your left elbow and pat yourself on the back for practicing yoga today. Good for you. Roll your left rib cage back slightly. So think about shoulders stacking, ribs stacking, chin away from your chest. Take a slow breath here. Great. If your left elbow is bent, extend the left arm. If your right elbow is bent, place your right hand on the floor, push yourself up, come back to center, and float your left arm down. Let's do the other side. Kick your left leg out, right leg in. Again, you can point your toes for a moment and then flex your toes. You can keep your left hand outside of left thigh and reach your right arm long overhead. And again, this side might feel different from the other side, or it might necessitate a different shape, and that's wonderful. So much of yoga is just getting to know ourselves better. I think advocating for myself in yoga, right? Trusting that like my body knows best is good. So again, if you ever want to take a different shape, you're welcome to do so. You can keep your left hand on the floor. You can bend your left elbow, forearm to thigh. Having your right arm overhead doesn't feel good, right? You can keep that right arm down. Or if you'd like to open the shoulder more, you can bend your right elbow and pat yourself on the back once again. Roll the right shoulder back, keep your chin away from your chest. Imagine you could put a grapefruit between your chin and your chest. Not a lime, a grapefruit, a big citrus. Okay, if your right elbow is bent, you're gonna extend your right arm. If your left elbow is bent, put your hand on the floor, push yourself up, and slowly float your right arm down. Keep your left leg kicked out. Kick your right leg out. You can move your hips back a little bit so you're sitting forward on your sit bones. You can even like pull your butt out from behind you if that helps you. From here, again, you can point your toes, flex your toes, you can windshield wiper your feet or draw circles clockwise, counterclockwise, just getting a range of motion in the ankles. Then once again, flex your toes back towards your face slightly. Take an inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead, big stretch up. Exhale through your nose, beautiful, fold forward, shoulders back and down away from your ears. Now this is a moment where you can experiment. I'm going to show you from the side. For some people, rounding the spine feels good here. For a lot of people, myself included, that feels like too much pressure on the back. So you're welcome to keep your back flat and just stick your butt out a little bit more. Roll your shoulders back and down. This is a moment like a choose your own adventure, right? If it feels good to let your head hang heavy, you're welcome to do so. Or if it feels better to really hinge from the hips with a flat back, you can try that as well. Take an inhale and a slow exhale. Good. Carefully walk your hands back in, come back to center, sitting upright. You're going to bring your knees and feet together this time. And again, you can walk your hips back a couple times or even pull your butt out from under you. You can point your toes, flex your toes, windshield wiper your feet, draw circles clockwise, counterclockwise, and just getting that range of motion in the feet, especially now that it is boot season, right? You want to be moving your toes and then flex your toes back towards your face. Take an inhale, sweep your arms up, big stretch up. Slow exhale to your nose, fold forward. And again, this is a moment where you can play around with rounding your spine or almost arching your spine. Depending on your mobility and body proportions, you might have your hands by your hips, your knees, your shins, or even towards your toes. And if nobody's ever told you, a lot of yoga is body proportions and getting to know your body proportions better. So it is easy for me to touch my hands to my toes because I have a very long spine and pretty short legs, right? Versus if you have long legs, I'm so jealous, but you might have your hands towards your hips. That doesn't mean that like I have a more advanced yoga practice than someone with longer legs. It just means our body proportions are different. Something that I hear so often with folks that have done yoga for like a year or so is they're, realizing like, oh, my body proportions, like my spine to my arms to my legs, or I always thought that I just was inflexible, and now I realize it's just body proportions, right? So again, getting to know yourself a little bit better. Good. As you're ready, slowly, carefully walk yourself back up to a seated position. And once again, you're going to bend your knees. You can sit in Sukhasana, easy pose, or crisscross applesauce. However, if you remember which way you were sitting earlier, switch it up so the other foot is on top. And if you don't remember, that's okay. But, the same way that we have like a dominant hand, most of us have a dominant hand. I'm very left-handed. You'll also notice over time that you have maybe like a dominant way that you sit crisscross applesauce, and we want to switch that up. So we're going to start here with a seated version of cat-cow, and then we'll progress to a tabletop version of cat-cow. But if this one is speaking to you, you're going to continue with this. Place your hands on your knees. I'm going to show you from the side. Take an inhale, stretch the crown of your head up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, round your spine like a cat. And again, depending on what feels right for your body, you might simply look down the center line of your body or bring your chin down towards your chest an inch. Or you can really try rounding your spine to the wall behind you. Keep your shoulders out of your ears. This is cat pose. We are rounding our spine like a cat. Meow. On your next inhale, cow pose, moo, you're going to stick your butt out, press your abdomen and chest forward, roll your shoulders back and down, look up. And again, your cow pose might just be looking up towards the ceiling, or lifting your nose and chin an inch, or sticking your butt out a little bit, or you can really try to get the expression of squeezing shoulder blade scapula together as you open through your heart space. Let's try that again. Exhale into your cat pose. So think of it as extension to the spine, compression to the abdominal wall, slide shoulder blade scapula apart, keep shoulders out of your ears. And when you're ready, inhale into your cow pose. So now it's extension to the abdominal wall, compression to spine, squeeze shoulder blade scapula together, keep shoulders out of your ears. Good. Exhale into your cat, meow. Inhale into your cow, moo. Exhale into a neutral spine position. Sitting up tall, keep your hands on your knees, and you're just going to make circles with your body. Try to keep your hips down. So you can make circles clockwise. And again, these can be big circles or just tiny movements. Whenever you're ready, go counterclockwise or whichever direction you haven't gone in yet. Great. So this is our seated version of warming up the spine. You are welcome to continue with cat-cows and circles on your bum. You can also try joining me in tabletop position. You can always try it. If it doesn't feel right, you can go back to seated. For tabletop position, if you have tight toes, ankles, or knees, you are welcome to roll up your yoga mat, or if you don't have a yoga mat, you can grab a thin like pillow or blanket or towel to place under any delicate lower body joints so that there's a little extra padding there. So it's called tabletop because you want your spine to be flat like a tabletop. Knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. Spread your fingers wide, press your knuckles down. You have 28 knuckles. You want to use all of them. We're going to try that cat-cow again. Take an inhale, lengthen your spine. And as you exhale through your nose, pull your abdomen in, round your spine like a cat. Push the floor away from you. And again, your cat pose might just feel like looking down towards the floor or in, or drawing your abdomen in a little bit more, or your cat pose might look like really trying to bring the middle spine up towards the ceiling. On your next inhale, cow pose, you can let your abdomen relax down, move your tailbone up, roll your shoulders back and down, press your chest forward, look up. So you might go for this, deep back bend, or you might simply look up towards the ceiling and think about bringing the shoulders out of the ears. Let's try that again. Exhale into your cat pose. And you might notice as we go on that the back opens up a little bit. Inhale into your cow pose. Looking up and back, move your hips up. Press your chest forward. Try that again. Exhale into your cat, meow. Keep your shoulders out of the ears. Press down through the knuckles. Inhale into your cow, moo. Keep your shoulders out of your ears. Press down through the knuckles. Exhale, come back into a neutral spine position, into your tabletop. And once again, if you'd like, we can try drawing circles with the body clockwise a few times, moving the hips and shoulders. Good. And then counterclockwise, or whichever direction you have not moved into yet. Good. Great. Come back to center, coming back into your tabletop. And one last little movement if it feels good. You're going to swing your hips to the left, And then look over your left shoulder so you're stretching into the right side body and gently squeezing into the left side body. Good. Slowly bring your head and hips back to center. And we'll do the other side. Move your hips to the right and look over your right shoulder like you're a cat looking for its own tail. Keep your shoulders out of your ears. Good. And then slowly bring your hips and head back to center. We're going to take a child's pose. Bring your big toes together. You can let your knees be wider than your hips for a wide-legged child's pose. And then start to sink your hips back towards your heels and reach your arms forward, bringing your forehead to the floor. You don't need any fancy yoga props for this posture. However, if you happen to have like a pillow from your couch nearby and it feels good, you are always welcome to place a pillow under your head or chest or in between your calves and your hamstrings. So you can always use household items like pillows and blankets if that helps your body feel a little bit more supported. If having your arms forward is too much on the shoulders, you're also welcome to have your arms down by your side with your palms facing up. In this posture, we're stretching through the toes, ankles, knees, inner thighs, and hips, and then we're extending through the lower back, middle back, upper back, through the shoulders and neck spine. Let's take 3 slow breaths here. At your own pace, walk your hands in underneath your shoulders, press your palms down and lift up. You can scoop your chest forward and come up with a flat back, or you can roll out of the posture if that feels good. I'm going to sit up nice and tall, getting that stretch to the lower body again. And if you'd like a counter stretch, you can place your hands behind you on your back and do a little back bend. Or you can even try, if you're able, to interlace your fingers behind you and look up and back. Okay, bring your spine back to a neutral position. Release any grip you have from the back of your body. If your mat was rolled up like mine is, you're going to unroll your mat or your towel, and then we're going to make our way onto the abdomen for some back work. So my personal, as we get onto your back, I'll just share my personal journey or belief about getting out of back pain is that it's about mobility and stretching, but it's also about strengthening. So this next series, if you do 26 and 2 yoga with me, is similar to our spine strengthening series, but we're going to progress it a little bit different. And we're going to start with Sphinx pose. So you're going to lie on your abdomen with your feet on the floor about hip width distance. Bend your elbows so that your elbows are underneath your wrists and your forearms are on the floor. Keep your shoulders out of your ears. If having the elbows directly under the shoulders feels like too much of a back bend, walk your hands forward as much as you'd like, which will decrease the back bend. If lying on your abdomen does not feel good, you are welcome to place a pillow underneath your thighs, which will allow your stomach to hang off. This is a great modification for pregnant people or anyone with any sort of like stomach distress or stomach issue going on. So you can still do the postures, but your abdomen gets a break. Okay, once you've made your way into your Sphinx pose, your goal here is to keep the shoulders out of the ears. And we'll take 3 slow breaths here. As you're ready, you're going to slowly lower down. Bring your elbows out and your fingertips in. And just bring your forehead down towards the your hands so that your neck is long. This is our resting position. We'll take a breath here. Some deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. If Sphinx pose was speaking to you, you can keep riddling the Sphinx, or you can try Cobra pose. For Cobra pose, rather than having your forearms on the floor, you're going to walk your hands back so that your fingers are underneath your shoulders. and your elbows point up. Feet stay hip width distance. Contract your quads and glutes so that you can really push your feet, like the tops of your feet, the shoelace part of your feet into the floor. Spread your fingers wide, press down through your knuckles and palms, and now lift your chest up so your elbows stay bent. There's quite a lot of activation happening in the upper spine here, so we're starting to strengthen the muscles that surround the spine, which like in my yoga professional opinion, is really key to back health, right? Of course, we're moving the spine, stretching the spine, but we're also strengthening it so that you can sit up and stand up nice and tall after class. So squeeze shoulder blades, scapula together, drop your shoulders down away from your ears, press your feet, hips, and hands down, lift your chest up. Good. Slowly, carefully lower down. This time, you can have your elbows out and your hands in with forehead on the floor. Or if you'd like, you can look to one side. So I'm going to look to the left and bring my right ear down towards the floor. And then it's a little neck and shoulder stretch in between postures as well. Check in with your breath. Check in with your body. Start to use your breath to relax your body. You are welcome to try Sphinx or Cobra again, or we can try a little bit of a different version of Cobra. You're going to bring your chin forward. Once again, place your hands underneath your shoulders. Press your feet and hands down. Lift your chest up. And this time, if you'd like, rather than keeping the elbows bent, you can start to like push your hands into the floor and come up a little bit more. Depending on mobility, right? Your arms might even straighten over time, but that's okay if they don't. A little bit goes a long way, but you can just play around here with lifting your chest up. But the goal is to keep your shoulders out of your ears, neck long. Take a breath here. Good, and then slowly, carefully lower down. Again, you can have your elbows out, hands in, and if you were looking to one side, this time look to the other side, other ear on the floor, stretching that side of the body. Next, we're going to play around with locust pose. Bring your chin forward and your arms back behind you, palms facing each other. So thumbs towards the floor, pinkies away from the floor. You can have your arms out by your thighs. You can also, depending on your mobility, interlace your fingers behind you. Point your toes, squeeze your butt, lift your chest off the floor. And if you'd like, you can try lifting your feet off the floor as well. But again, you're squeezing shoulder blade scapula together with your arms behind you, neck long. Squeeze your glutes. If you're lifting your feet off the floor, try to lift your feet up one more inch and maybe one more rib off the floor. Good. Slowly, carefully come down. And this time, if you'd like, you can bring your toes together, heels fall open, arms down, palms face the ceiling, and you can look to one side. And if looking right and left with your arms long does not feel good to your neck, you can keep your elbows bent just like we were trying before. Or again, you can experiment with having your arms down, just a little bit more of a shoulder stretch. Relax your jaw. Breathe into the lower spine. Next is airplane pose. Bring your chin forward. This time, arms out to the side like airplane wings, keeping your feet about hip width distance. Point your toes, squeeze your glutes, lift your chest and arms off the floor. And if it feels good, again, you can try lifting your feet off the floor as well. Spread your fingers wide, palms face down, feet stay about hip width distance, shoulders down, keep your chin and chest lifted. If it feels good, lift up slightly higher. Good, and slowly, carefully lower down. And again, you can tuck in your wings, palms face up, and look to the other side, other ear on your neck. We'll try another version of locust pose. And again, if any of these are speaking to you, you can try that one again instead. Otherwise, you're going to bring your chin forward and your arms forward this time. palms facing each other. So thumbs towards the ceiling, pinkies towards the floor, almost like you're holding a beach ball in between your hands. Squeeze your glutes, point your toes, and now try lifting your arms and chest off the floor. And if it feels good, you can try lifting your toes off the floor as well. So nice. Take a breath here. Good, and slowly, carefully lower down. And this time again, elbows out, hands in, forehead to floor. Take a breath. Send deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. So there's a lot of spine strengthening and back compression. You're going to lift your head slightly, walk your hands in under your shoulders, press yourself up, and we're going to go back into our child's pose. So big toes together, knees apart, good. Sink your hips back, reach your arms forward, getting that stretch from the lower back, middle back, upper back. You can experiment with taking a bigger breath here so that you really start to feel your ribs expand. And then go slow as you exhale so the ribs slowly contract. And sometimes I'll even feel like a pop, like a like a chiropractic adjustment, which is just like a shifting of synovial fluid in the spine. Great. As you're ready, you're going to walk your hands underneath you, slowly press yourself up. Again, you can roll yourself up or scoop yourself up with a flat back, and then you're going to turn and lie on your back. I'm just going to grab something real quick. And as you lie on your back, excuse me, you're going to make your way into what's called collapsed bridge. So lying on your back with your knees bent, feet on the floor about hip width distance, let your knees rest together, and have your arms down by your side, palms facing up. And if you'd like, you can sort of move your knees right and left like windshield wipers. You feel good to the lower back. Great, once you're kind of even on both sides, just come back to center and let your knees rest together. Take a breath here. You have an option to stay in collapsed bridge for a little while longer. You can also try bridge pose, which is another back strengthener. So for bridge pose, you're going to rotate your shoulders so that your palms face down and wiggle your hands underneath you so maybe thumbs touch. Open up your knees so your knees and feet are about hip width distance, ankles under your knees. You're going to tuck your chin in ever so slightly so your head stays on the floor, but you feel your neck lengthen. Press your shoulders down, squeeze your glutes, press your palms down, press your heels down, and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. So you really want to squeeze your butt here as you lift. You can keep your palms face down and also interlace your fingers underneath you if that feels good. And keep your head on the floor, chin slightly to chest. And rather than opening up your ribs, think about knitting your ribs together. Squeeze your glutes, lift your hips up 1 more inch. Take a breath here. Good, and slowly lower your hips back down. Bring your knees back together, collapsed bridge. You can have your palms face up, so that gentle rotation of the shoulders. And then once again, you can move your knees and your hips, kind of like a windshield wiper, moving your knees right and left. Great, and then come back to center. We're going to start here in a progressive hip opener, beginning with supine figure 4. Keep your left foot on the floor. Lift your right foot off the floor, cross your right ankle over your left thigh, so that if you look down the center line of your body, your legs make a 4 shape. That's why it's called figure 4, not very creative. You have an option to keep your left foot on the floor. You can also lift your left foot off the floor and draw your thighs in towards your abdomen. You can keep your hands on the floor. You can also place your hands outside of your thighs, or you can interlace your fingers behind your left thigh and pull down. Keep your head on the floor, 2 shoulders, 2 hips on the floor. So in this posture, we're using the floor as a prop, right? It's a flat floor that's really lengthening out our spine. This posture is particularly good for sciatica or sciatic nerve pain. The sciatic nerve is a nerve that runs from the lower back all the way down the leg to the foot. It's a thick nerve. Your sciatic nerve is like as thick as your thumb, which I think is really wild. And a lot of times when the lower back compresses or we have a herniated disc, it pushes into that nerve and can cause like really uncomfortable, like almost like sharp shooting pain in the foot, which is a reminder, of course, that different parts of our body interact with one another, right? I'm sure it took people a while to figure out this pain in my foot or in my leg is related to my lower back. And all that to say, sometimes when you, for example, like when I have shoulder pain, I'm aware that it's actually related to something going on in my lower back. Or if I have pain in my toe, I'm aware that it's actually something that's going on in my hip. For me, that's been another joy of a consistent yoga practice, is kind of like connecting the dots of bones and joints and tendons, and ligaments and nerves and muscles and all that fun stuff. You have an option to stay here in supine figure 4. You can also play around with another version of this posture called pigeon pose. So if you'd like to try that, and again, you're welcome to just watch in supine figure 4 or just give it a try. You're going to release any grip that you have from the backs of your legs. Slowly bring your left foot to the floor. Mindfully bring your right foot to the floor. And at your own pace, you're going to roll off to one side and carefully press yourself up, coming back into your tabletop position that we worked on earlier. So again, this is pigeon pose, and it's just a different version of that side seat hip opener. So if you want to stay in figure 4, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, you're going to start to slide your right knee towards your right wrist. Bring your right foot to the left side of the room. And then start to slide your left leg long back behind you. And again, if you have a pillow, it can be handy to place a pillow underneath your hip for support. You're going to look back, make sure that your ankle, knee, and hip are in line. And eventually that left hip is going to come down towards the floor. It doesn't have to be today or tomorrow. You can stay lifted in a back bend. You can keep a flat back by walking your hands forward, or you can even try bringing your elbows down towards the floor. And if you've ever like seen someone do this pose and you're like, I could never do that, supine figure 4 is a really good place to start. If you are in your supine figure 4, you are welcome to keep your left knee bent, or if it feels good, you can start to extend your left leg up towards the ceiling and flex your toes back. So now you're stretching the back of that left leg as well. You're also stretching out the sole of your foot, your plantar fascia. Let's take one more slow breath here, wherever you are in the posture, trusting that you're where you need to be, trusting that your body knows what it needs. You can inhale and then exhale. So I think through yoga, we become maybe a little bit better listeners, right? Better able to listen to ourselves. If you are in what am I saying? If you're in pigeon pose, you're going to walk your hands in under your shoulders. If you're folded forward, slowly lengthen your arms, lift your hips, bring your right knee back out, back into your tabletop, and then at your own pace, make your way onto your back. If you are in supine figure 4 and your left leg is extended, bend your left leg, release any grip from the backs of your legs, bring your left foot to the floor, mindfully bring your right foot to the floor. You have 2 options here. You can try your collapsed bridge where your feet stay on the floor, knees rest together, so knees are bent. Or you can try another posture called Savasana or corpse pose, where your legs are straight and flat on the floor. For some people, Savasana with the legs long on the floor feels really good. And for other people, it feels like too much pressure on the lower back. So if that's you, again, you can go back into your collapsed bridge with your knees bent, feet on the floor, knees resting together. And sometimes it feels good for folks to place a little pillow or blanket under the lower back, under your knees, under your head. So you're always welcome to, again, play around with the use of like household pillows and blankets. I try to make my classes so you don't need any bolsters or straps or any fancy props. Let's try the other side of that sequence, starting with supine figure 4. Bend your knees if they're not already, feet on the floor. And this time you're going to cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Option to keep your right foot on the floor or lift your right foot off the floor, hugging your thighs in towards your abdomen. Option to keep your hands on the floor. You can also grab the outsides of your legs, or you can take your left arm in between legs and interlace your fingers behind right thigh. Keep your head on the floor and tuck your chin in ever so slightly, drawing your shoulders and hips down towards the floor. So I think were it not for yoga as an adult, I probably would not spend so much time on my floor. And I don't think I'll ever like sleep on the floor. I know some people swear by that. It's probably not for me. I don't think I'll ever like be sleeping on the floor, at least not by choice, unless I'm camping or something like that. But I've really come to appreciate how useful it can be to lie on the floor on a hard flat surface like this, and with a little bit of padding like a towel or a carpet or a yoga mat, because it really does help to lengthen out our spine and really allows your spine to stretch and realign. You have an option to stay here in your supine figure 4, and if it feels good, again, you can experiment with extending your right leg up towards the ceiling and flexing your right toes back towards your face for the plantar fascia stretch, as well as stretching the Achilles, calf, and hamstring. Or you can try pigeon pose on this side, releasing any grip you have on the backs of your legs, slowly bringing right foot to the floor, left foot to the floor, roll off to one side, maybe the side you haven't rolled off to yet, if you remember. Take your time pressing yourself up. There is no rush. And at your own pace, you're going to make your way back into your tabletop position, keeping in mind that this side might feel different or necessitate a different shape, and that is a wonderful thing to know. As you're ready, bring your left knee towards your left wrist. Bring your left foot to the right side of the room, and then start to slide your right leg back. And again, having a pillow or blanket underneath your right hip can do wonders. Look back, make sure your ankle, knee, and hip are in line. You have an option to do a back bend here. Roll your shoulders back and down away from your ears. You can also try folding forward with a flat back, or even bringing your elbows down towards the floor. Once you've found a shape, just trust that you're where you're meant to be. And again, our shapes in this class can look different. If all you did today is made it to your yoga mat or your yoga space and took a few slow breaths in and out to your nose, I think that's a really big accomplishment, right? We all have so much going on in our lives, and just this intention and this dedication and this commitment to yourself, right? To take some time to slow down and breathe, and again, put the news away, put your phone away, all of that. Like that's, I think not just life-changing, but world-changing, right? If everyone was able to do this, I think we might treat each other a little bit different. You figured out a way to get here. So just trust that whatever you're doing in this moment is right for you. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. If you're in your pigeon pose, you're going to slowly walk your hands in underneath you, start to lift your hips up, slide your right knee forward, left foot out to the left, slide your left knee back, and then turn, make your way onto your back. If you are in your supine figure 4 and your leg is extended towards the ceiling, bend that knee, then release any grip from the legs, bringing one and then both feet down to the floor. And again, you can go into your collapsed bridge with knees resting together, or you can try your savasana with legs straight and arms down by your side. The floor is your friend. Let the floor hold you up. Particularly if you struggle with asking for help or struggle with getting support, the floor is a really nice place to practice. You just practice allowing the floor to support you. You can inhale, body rise. And then exhale, body fall. Sinking a little bit deeper into the floor. All right, you're going to bend your knees if they're not already, feet on the floor, knees, feet together. Take your arms out to the sides. We're opening up through our chest and shoulders. You have an option to keep your arms straight, perpendicular to your body. You can also bend your arms, palms facing up, so your arms look like goalposts or cactus. This is a spine twist. If a doctor has told you not to do a spine twist, you can stay here, just really opening through your chest and shoulders with your lower back coming down towards the floor. Or as you're ready, you can start to roll to the left so that your right hip stacks on top of your left hip. right knee on top of left knee, right foot on top of left foot. Draw your right shoulder down towards the floor. You have an option to keep the back of your head on the floor or look over your right shoulder so it's a neck twist as well. And again, there's some people, especially like pregnant people, are often told not to do spine twists, or some, depending on back injuries, you might be told by a doctor not to do spine twists. But for a large portion of people, spine twists, I think, are kind of like the unsung hero of back health. Back bends for sure, especially in a society where we tend to hunch forward, especially in the winter months where we hunch forward, right? Back bends are good for spine health, but so are spine twists, just getting that range of motion in the back. Again, a little bit goes a long way. You take 3 slow breaths here. Hello, sweet tea. I love when furry friends come into view. If you're looking over your right shoulder, bring the back of your head to the floor. With or without the use of your hands, you're going to roll your right hip down to the floor. And then we'll try the other side. Roll to the right so your left hip stacks on top of right hip. Draw your left shoulder down to the floor. Keep the back of your head on the floor, or if you'd like, you can look over your left shoulder. And the other thing, in my personal experience, anecdotal experience, lived experience, as well as studies about back pain, is a lot of back pain is caused by things like scoliosis, which I have, or car accidents, which I've been in. But a lot of back pain can be emotional, which the first time I heard someone say, like, you store emotion in your hips, or like you store tension in your back, it sounded so like gauzy and airy, and I didn't really understand what they were talking about. But on a very biological level, when we're stressed out, we tend to hunch forward, which is like a leftover, biological response from, like, if a bear was running at you, what would you do? You would hunch forward, right, to protect the front of your body. And now you might not have a bear running at you, but you might have like a coworker yelling at you, and our response is still to hunch forward. So when we start to move our spine, it can start to release some of that stuff. And sometimes you might even get an emotional response when you're moving your spine in a yoga class or moving your hips. If you're looking over your left shoulder, slowly bring the back of your head to the floor. With or without the use of your hands, you're going to bring your left hip back down to the floor. And our last posture today, if you'd like to try it, is a happy baby posture, ending on a happy note. So keep your knees bent, lift both feet off the floor, flex your toes back towards your face. You have an option to keep your hands on the floor down by your side or out to the side. You can grab the backs of your hamstrings or knees. You can grab the outsides of your ankles, or you can try grabbing your feet from the outside. And from here, you can rock right and left, rolling out your back. And maybe as you roll to the right, you try straightening your right leg, stretching the inner thigh, come back to center, roll to the left, stretch your inner left thigh, straighten the left leg, come back to center. I like this posture. It's called happy baby. If you've ever hung out with a baby, you know why they like to do this. And I like this because it reminds me that healing things, whether it's, physical pain, psychological, emotional, spiritual pain, is both serious work, but there's room for like play and being silly, including like rolling right and left like you're a baby, right? Like, if yoga was super serious, I don't think I would do it all the time, but I like to have fun in class, and I hope you do as well from time to time. Once you're even on both sides, come back to center. And again, you can just draw your knees down towards the floor, flex your toes back towards your face, shoulders down, keep your head on the floor, take a breath here, inhale. Anything you'd like to let go of, this is an invitation to let it go through the exhale breath. Release any grip that you have from the backs of your legs. You can bring your knees and feet back together. Slowly bring your feet back down to the floor. For final Shavasana, you're welcome to take a collapsed bridge, right, with your knees resting together, feet on the floor. You can also take a traditional Savasana with your legs straight and arms down. And if it feels good, again, to place a pillow under your head, under your lower back, under your knees, or if you have a blanket nearby that you want to place on top of you, you're welcome to do so. Purposely built in a 4-minute Savasana here, so you have some built-in time to your hour just to breathe and relax. Feel your feet on the floor, hands on the floor, head on the floor. Let the floor hold you up. As you inhale, you might feel your abdomen or your chest rise. And as you exhale, you might observe your chest and abdomen fall. As you inhale, notice the temperature of air coming into the nose. And as you exhale, notice the temperature of air coming out. It might be a little bit warmer. Again, a reminder that we're alive. There are 8 billion people on this planet. All of us are breathing. Some of us are taking our first breaths. Some of us are taking our last breaths. Most of us are somewhere in between. And most people in this very moment are not aware that they're breathing. And, that's a gift, right? Our breathing is automatic so that we can think about other things and do cool things and love one another. And at the same time, cultivating a practice of breath awareness is also a gift. Sometimes we spend so much time thinking about the future, thinking about the past, thinking about other people, or worrying about ourselves, right, or others. But we really forget to be in the present moment, and focusing on your breath is a really beautiful tool to draw you back into the here and now. And I don't think we can live entirely in the present moment. I don't think that would be useful or helpful. I also don't think it's useful or helpful to live entirely in the past or in the present. But some people are really focused on past or present or both and forget to occasionally tune into the here and now. But you figured it out. You made it to class. You breathed, you moved, and now you're here. And all you have to do is breathe. That is a tremendous gift you've given yourself. It's a choice that you've made for yourself. And it's a choice that no one can take away from you. Your work on yourself is a public service. As you get to know yourself better, trust yourself better, as it's easier to listen to yourself, be more patient and compassionate with yourself, it is by extension easier to be compassionate and patient with others, easier to listen to others, easier just to trust and be still with others. And all you have to do is breathe. Inhale, body rise. Exhale, body fall. Breathe in. Empty out. Keep it simple. Do your practice, and all is coming. And stay in your final Savasana for as long as you'd like, and even take a nap if that feels good to you. When you do choose to get up, I encourage you to sit up for a while before you stand up, especially if you have low blood pressure, because we've been on the floor for a while. Make sure that you're drinking lots of water throughout your evening, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, friends.